morning, everyone. So just to introduce a little bit my reflection linked to democratic planning, I did background on economic elite and financialization, and then started to write a book with Simon and Frédéric Legault in French to introduce a French reader to this debate. And so I realized that one of my new area was social reproduction and question of patriarchy linked to financial system. And so I realized that there was not much about what is happening inside the households when we want to plan something that is democratic and that is free from any kinds of oppression. So let me introduce a little bit something about families. Some of you might not be aware of this kind of schematic. So usually when we speak about the history of family, we tend to have three ideal types of family. So traditional family in Canada was based on community in rural space. Oh yeah, I need to use the mic, okay. Yes. Yeah, so no moving, no moving. Okay. All right, so traditional family is really related to numerous children, extended family. Everybody can live together, mostly in agricultural activity. Church was really important, so the father is the voice of the church inside the house. And family is the producer unit. They were market, obviously, but only the surplus will be sold on the market, the surplus that have been made on the land. All right, so we are in a pre-capitalist type of family. Then we move rapidly after the Second World War, mostly to modern family. If you have watched the movie Revolutionary Road with Kate Winslet and Leonardo DiCaprio, is really emblematic of this kind of family. The number of children drops. We are talking about mostly an average of 3 children, and it's really the mother, the father, and the children living together. In terms of capitalist development, it is also deeply linked to the suburban development, to the idea of a single house, a detached house for the most privileged. And so what we have here is a housewife, breadwinner kind of type of role. Obviously, many social problem comes with that, the burden on the mother to take care of their children, the fact that new hierarchy are created inside the house based on the money, because the husband tend to be the only breadwinner and thus have or create this new relationship of oppression and exploitation inside the house. And also I will get to that point a little bit later. We see a rapid development of home appliance and the development and the fast development of planned obsolescence inside the house related to the everyday things and commodity that we need to enter into the house. Postmodern family are based on 2 earners inside the house, so it enters with in the 1980s with women entering into the workforce. It is a system where the social norm is really to have both parents implicated into the education and care of their children, and also having more external services to cope with the care and the domestic work that has to be carried out inside the house, but also the woman has to be outside the house working. So that was called the double shift for the women. They have to go outside for money and come back at home and do their second shift, which will be cleaning and taking care of the family. Since the modern family, we do not tend to live with elders. They are placed outside the unit. So household and caring activity are not totally overlapping. It happens that you have to take care of your parents or elder, and they live outside your home house, right? So remember that. So in my perspective, we have to take away or to expand the development of the postmodern family norms. For example, in Ontario, it was recently admitted in the legal system that friends could be parents. We don't have to be in a romantic relationship with someone else to be recognized as a parent. I'm talking also about LGBTQ community and new kinds of family. So it is important for me because when we talk about postmodern or individualistic kind of norm, it doesn't mean that it's egocentric. It means that individualism is that you have to build your own system of value and you make those choices according to that. So your system of value could be community, could be collective democracy, could be post-capitalism, could be revolutionary, but you have to build by your own your idea, your value, and the practices that you will put in place to achieve those goals. In comparison to a modern and traditional family where all the roles are imposed to the people. If you are a man, it is not allowed socially to stay at home, to be a dad at home, right? So we have to keep the value and the ability to develop our own system of value from the postmodern society, but we have to extend traditional link and unit and material unit to reach a traditional family kind of making. It doesn't mean that we have to go back to community based on family, but it means that we have to think about a kind of housing, a kind of development of infrastructure that allow people to live together in ties that they have choose to invest to, right? All right. So this is a very emblematic, I think, quote from David Harvey about the disaster that comes with the modern family and the development of the suburban area, where the accumulation of capital based on consumption really drive the ecological crisis at the point of consumption, right? I really enjoyed the new book, Creative Construction. Constructive construction. Yes. Yeah. Creative construction. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So Lutosh say in that book that we should have 4 parents for each child, right? Okay, so here you have the demographic tendency in Canada. And so what is happening in Canada is we have an aging population mostly. So it's not about children per se, but the care that the society have to develop is mostly about elderly population. We also rely on colonial link to, and we depend on the global care chain to have workers in specific area of our economy, especially agriculture and care. So we have to think when we are planning about an idea of overcome, to go to break with this pattern, because the care worker in our society in Canada are only here during their active life. So we externalize the cost of social reproduction for these workers in the global south. So if we want to align our expectation and value to in this planning system, we have to think that we have to take care for more elderly people. And my particular life is emblematic in that specific area because I have to take care of 2.5 elderly people, right? And only half child. So, so you have an idea here that we rely really on this global care chain, and that is really a problem when we think about agriculture in a sense of social reproduction activity as well. Okay, so planning for autonomy and freedom should start with planning communal houses where we can get rid of households as capital alienated space, but as well as household has a site of violence and patriarchy violence. I just told you that 30% of the call in the police, for the police in Montreal are about domestic violence. That we are 9 million people. I don't know how many children we have in Quebec right now, but each year the Protective Child Services receive 100,000 calls for different child. So 100,000 child need probably protective or need to be checked by the Protective Services. So it's important to think that capitalism is one problem, but what is happening inside the house in terms of violence, hierarchy, oppression, is also another problem that we have to take in account when we are planning. As it was mentioned in this great book as well, houses are actually placed to gauge trauma that comes from capitalist society, a climate disaster, stress from work, etc. Though this is also thing to take in account. I would be very interested to know in general, the number of people who live with people they don't want to. Linked to a housing crisis, this is something that should be think as well. Obviously, it's not the idea to build more individualistic kind of house or housing system. It's more about building something called cohabitat. Maybe some European audience people are aware of that. It's the idea that you reduce your personal consumption in your unit and you share broader appliance in communal space. So we have to change law in Quebec, for example, to allow cooperative to do so, because right now they cannot develop this kind of models, right? Planning the socialization and knowledge for anti-oppressive human, we do have this question a lot when we present about democratic planning, is how do we socialize and how we transmit knowledge to people so they are able to support and to recreate for themselves the value of freedom and autonomy, right? Not everybody has been trained as an anarchist, not everybody has been trained as to be able to exercise direct democracy. So those kind of tools are really important, and I think we have to make a list of them. I made some nonviolent communication training, conflict management, emotional management. If we want to get rid of the police, then we have to be able to build mediation and conflict solving plan. And for planning the work occupation distribution for and from restorative work that include biocommunism. So that means that we have to look at the work occupation right now and try to figure out how We're gonna move people from their current position in their current sector to something else. I don't know if some of you use a lot the concept of bullshit job by Gruber, but it's something that I actualize for myself in a sense that I think it's really something that could help us to understand where we can find bullshit job and how many people do we need to move to do this restorative work, whether it's for the human, non-human life or for the human life itself. So it's really a basic data because we have a very unreliable statistics system in comparison to many OCDE countries. So, but first of all, here you have the number of employees by sector. So in red you have the sector that I identify as bullshit job that could be get rid of in a planning system. So trade, finance, insurance, real estate, management of enterprise. So we have here approximately 20% of the Canadian population working in those sectors. The problem, and then you have in kind of purple people working in the care sector. I made a very beautiful star at the left. It doesn't mean that the care system that is working right now achieve autonomy and freedom. No means there's what I call the spirit of the police inside the child protective services. There is the spirit of the police at the hospital. So it's not just those kind of workers with this specific training that we have right now, that we also need to socialize them or transmit some kind of knowledge based on the ideals of economic planning. So this is the first data. The problem with that is, for example, an actuary, so someone who made mathematics with demographic based on illness and life expectancy, is located into insurance sector. So this person is located in a bullshit sector, but this person could be very important in a planning system, right? People in marketing are used to make calls, to sell things to other people. Maybe we need their very basic training so that they could call people in a democratic planning system to ask them things so that we can gather data and expand our statistics system, right? So for that reason, I produced another tables, and the idea is to ask to Statistics Canada to merge those two tables, right? So the labor force characteristic, so what people do. Same thing here. You have management occupation, business, service occupation. So it accounts for 46% of the population is working in those areas. Sorry? Thank you. And yes, you have occupation in the care system globally. So we have really to mix those two to be able to identify the number of people who are doing bullshit job or are in the bullshit sector, to move them to a social reproduction occupation. Unresolved question that I wish I could provide answer when I started to work on this presentation, but I cannot provide any answer. I'm not sure that we could use money or align a monetary system of compensation with daily and formal restorative work. One idea that comes from one colleague who worked, she has a cooperative in the agricultural system, and she told me we need 10% of the population working on land to be able to feed everybody. And actually, we have only 2% of the population in Canada working in this specific sector, so we have to think about this kind of work as well as restorative work. What is voluntary versus mandatory restorative task? Social division of labor and expertise that reframe our planning abilities. In my view, we need to share our knowledge, our experience, so we have to think about how to train people to perform care activity, because those people are not ready to do that. And also that maybe rotation is a way to make our knowledge more horizontal and shared by the community. I think I'll leave it there. Thank you very much.